Euzu billahi mineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi şrah li sadri ve yessir li emri ve hlul ukdeten min lisani yefkahu kavli. Selamünaleyküm ve rahmetullahi ve berekatuh. Inshallah, we will continue with our discussion on evil as we experience in the creation. And we are studying the book Flashes, 13th flash. And today, inshallah, we will start with the 9th indication. It's on my app, it is page 117. It could be something minus plus 1, 2 for you. 13th flash, 9th indication. And we need a volunteer to read. Jazakallah khairan. You volunteer Zaha for reading, I see. Would you like to read it for us, Zaha? No? Okay, since Zaha is not out here, money.
Okay. Hello. So, 9th indication. Question. Why is it that the people of guidance, who are God's party, are so often defeated by the people of misguidance, who are Satan's party, despite the glory of the world, upon whom be blessings and peace, being at their head, and they're receiving so much divine mercy and assistance and so many favors? What was the reason for the dissemblers of Medina insisting on misguidance and their not embracing guidance, despite being close to the brilliant sun-like prophethood and messengerhood of the seal of the prophets and the Quranic truths, which are more captivating than the universal laws of attraction? The answer: to solve the two parts of the awesome question, a profound principle must be explained. It is like this: the all-glorious creator of the universe has two sort of names, those pertaining to his glory and those pertaining to his beauty. Since the names require to demonstrate their decrees through different manifestations, the glorious creator blended together opposite in the universe. Bringing them face to face, he gave them aggressive and defensive positions in the form of a wise and beneficial contest. Making the opposites transgress one another's bounds, he brought conflict and change into being, and made the universe subject to the law of change and transformation and the principles of progress and advancement. In humankind, the comprehensive fruit of the tree of creation, he gave the law of contest an even stranger form, and opening the door to striving, which would be the means to all human progress. He gave Satan's party certain faculties with which to challenge God's party. It is because of this subtle mystery that the prophets were often defeated by the people of misguidance. And the people of misguidance, who are extremely weak and impotent, temporarily triumph over the people of truth, who in reality are extremely strong and struggle against them. The wisdom in this strange opposition is as follows. Misguidance and unbelief comprise both non-existence and omission, so that they are extremely easy and do not require action. They also give rise to destruction, which is also easy and need little action. They are also a source of aggression, which may cause much harm to many with little action, and by way of intimidating others and satisfying the soul's desire for power, may secure rank and position for a person. There is also freedom in misguidance and unbelief, which gratifies man's vegetable and animal powers, which are blind to consequences and obsessed by present pleasure, and induces such subtle faculties as the heart and reason to give up their humane and far-sighted duties. However, the sacred way foremost of the noble messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the beloved of the sustainer of all the worlds, and the people of prophethood and the people of guidance, both pertains to existence and is firmly established and is constructive and is based on the important principles of action moderation, prudence and foresight, worship and smashing the domination and independence of the evil commanding soul. It is because of this that the dissemblers of the Prophet ﷺ's time in Medina closed their eyes to that refulgent sun like bats, and surrendering themselves to the satanic force of repulsion in the face that huge attraction, remained in misguidance. If it is said,
I can stop here.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So let's go back to the question. I will read the first part, inshallah. Why is it that the people of guidance, who are God's party, are so often defeated by the people of misguidance, who are Satan's party, despite the glory of the world, upon whom the blessings and the peace, referring to Prophet ﷺ, being at their head, and they are receiving so much divine mercy and assistance and so many favors. Is question clear? Like we keep saying, claiming, if you are people of misguided, if you are people of the guidance, you are on the right path. And the belief is just confirming whatever creation points to. It's like accepting the truth. This is what belief is. This is our claim. But when you look at the practical life, you see that many people of guidance, believers, they are defeated in many matters, in worldly matters, right? And this is not something new. It's not, this is not a political or the sociological question. Or look at the nations of Islam. We are so beaten up, etc. So why so? This is not the question. Because even at the time of Prophet, والسلام, we see that many companions, the Prophet himself, right, were not at the pinnacle of, let's say, the worldly matters. They were defeated many times. They were not the richest people. Sometimes not, the most respected people, etc. Right? So why is this so? The question. And then he gives the second part is the example from the Medina, right, which is the golden time of the Prophet. What was the reason for the dissemblers of Medina? Even in Medina, I mean, forget about the Mecca, the first period. Even in Medina, when the belief was well established, understood, etc., there were still unbelievers. There were people who are, what is the English of munafiq? Hypocrites, etc. What was the reason for the dissemblers of Medina insisting on misguidance and they are not embracing guidance, despite being close to the brilliant sun-like prophethood and the messengerhood of the seal of the prophet and the Quranic truths, which are more captivating than the universal laws of attraction? Why in practice we don't see something like, if you go against the laws of physics, let's say, you are doomed. Right? If you say, no, I can fly and jump out from the window, you will definitely fall down and either die or break your legs. if you go against, I don't know, the truth of some other sciences, you will fail for sure. But if you stick to such laws, the truth in that sense, you will most probably succeed in whatever you do, right? But when it comes to, the question goes, when it comes to the more universal truths, more fundamental truths, like who created everything? Is there something behind everything I experience, or everything happens by themselves, etc.? We see that if you stick to the truth, you can still fail in worldly matters. And if you don't stick to the truth, you say, no, there is no meaning of the life. We're just so lucky to be outcome of fluctuating blind forces, and we are alive. We should just, constant focus on that. Who cares the rest? Just enjoy your time. You live only once, etc. If you go this way, you may, at least seemingly, you may succeed and even defeat people of guidance when it comes to worldly matters. Again, like I keep repeating these worldly matters on purpose. So let's talk about this question and expand it from your lens. Like how do you, what kind of version of these questions you have in your mind? I'm sure we all have the same question, right? How the question changes in your life? What similar questions do you pose? Yes, sir.
For the first part, I think it sometimes happens that like I am praying, I am trying to be more religious and whatnot, but still my non-believer friends are being more successful. So sometimes the version of the problem is I'm expecting from God and He's not giving me, despite He gives to the unbeliever person. Or even sometimes it's being in the format of there are certain limitations, restrictions, whatnot of religion, which is what keeps me back. I guess the easiest example is within finance, like since I'm trying to avoid riba and this and that, like look at all those, how other people are making money while we are just getting stuck in here. Yes, these are super material versions of that problem, but we can increase it. But the other one is, like, if Islam was so bright of a thing, just we are living in Philadelphia. We have so many universities here. It not only applies to Islam, actually, it applies to religion in general. The more educated an environment is, the less religious they are. If religion was something so bright, so true and whatnot, shouldn't the smartest among us would be following the religion? So it looks like there's something iffy going on. And if you say that, oh, it's because of you, you couldn't represent it well, you couldn't explain it well. Well, at the time of Prophet in Medina, there were people who was immediately observing him. So we have the best teacher, we have the best book, best of everything. Still, those guys lived as hypocrites. So is there some issue with the message itself or the teacher itself, or what's going on?
When they started, doing daily prayers regularly in Turkey, in the university, going to the masjid. In university environments in Turkey, especially, the masjids are like the under the bridge, the shady locations usually. Like that's what they do. Like just past to the restrooms. After that, there's a dark, the passage. If you pass there, there's a prayer room type of. So anyway, I go there, I pray, and students also coming there, discussing among themselves about their classes, the exams, etc. Whenever there's a discussion in, that kind of discussion, it's always the students who come to masjid complaining about how hard it was, how bad their grades are, etc. After a certain time, I got this impression that if you are a believer, like an active Muslim, you have to fail your classes. So I was asking, like, well, what is going on with these people? Like, there's no single successful person who prays. So I guess you can see the similar patterns in everywhere. So that was my version of the question. And if these are people, like for me, if you the pray, it means you are convinced about something, you are certain about you thinking about it, etc., and you demonstrate it with your prayer. So how can you be, the bad in your classes, etc.? Like that was the question. Anyone else? Other versions? Okay, fantastic. Oh, yeah, who has the microphone?
Okay, got it. So it's kind of basically based on grades. I'll just say, like, personally, I feel like I've experienced that too. I think I'm still experiencing it. Like, it's just, I don't know, like, in my major, I'm like the only Muslim, like, in my major. So first of all, it feels very discouraging when everybody around you is like doing way better than you. And like, I don't know what question to pose, but like, I'm trying my best, I'm trying to better myself, but I feel like, and I know, like, obviously everything comes in its due time, but then you just feel like nothing's changing, you're stuck. And even let's say like, let's talk about maybe jobs even. Like, I know some people, ever since they came here, they're struggling to find a good job. And they're praying to Allah, they're doing everything they can, not for the sake of the job, but like in general, but like, it's, so I don't know how to ask the question. It's just like,
You perfectly answered.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's pretty much what I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So these are more like let's say mundane things, right? Your classes, the work, etc. But even when it comes to the matters of belief, we see that the people of misguidance seem to be the more successful in producing ideas or the so-called explanations about the creation as well. It's not that they are clueless about what is going on. You can find thousands of books written to explain human condition, the universe, from different angles. They seem to be also more productive as well, right? So there are many different aspects. We see that the people of misguidance triumph over people of guidance. So why is so? Who wants to summarize the answer that we read? Just in a nutshell, or maybe a few keywords that you remember after reading. Like this word was helpful for me, or this sentence was helpful for me, type of.
Not the summary, but another maybe modern version of that question that we have been asking for the past 2 years. Like Muslims are being brutally killed and infidels are brutally killing, and the creator is not helping. Like we have been like during Tarawih, for example, all the supplications are being in the sense that Allahumma a'iz al-Islam wal-Muslimin, wa Allah give izzah, the dignity to Muslims and to Islam. This is the supplication that we have been doing. But look at the picture, like even the type of ceasefire that's being accepted, like, I mean, okay, stop killing us and then whatever. Like this is, and then the question is being, Islam is the truth. And the same thing actually happened in the time of Prophet ﷺ as well, when they were accepting Hudaybiyah. So Sahabi were very reluctant to accept. The Prophet accepted the deal, but then they were asking the same question, saying that, are you not the messenger of God? Is this not the truth? Why are we accepting like these people's things? So this is, in this regard, a very real like question that's really boiling our blood time to time.
First impressions, comments. Sarah, would you like? Go on, come on, come on. Don't keep it. Give the microphone. Give the mic.
I think like I would say some people think it's the opposite. Like we are in this situation and like we are weak and we are considered like failures in this world, like at the personal level and cultural level, whatever political levels, because we are away from our religion and not the other way around. Like if you would ask people, why is the Muslim ummah like this now? They would say because they are not following, the true guidance, the true message. That's why they want to follow the West. Some people would say, they want democracy instead of khilafah and whatever. And like I feel like that's
walk freely on the streets. What kind of society?
The comments, on social media, that's what people would say. Like because we moved away from the true message. That's why we are in this like and not like I feel like what we were trying to explain now in the text, it's like we are believers and that's why we are in like this situation, but like it's kind of like what you said also, like the Prophet himself, even a lot of Sahaba, people who followed the Prophet, they didn't have like the worldly affairs like in order, right? Like they weren't the richest or the most respected and whatever. But like now people are saying we don't have our affairs in pattern and like the way they should be because we are not following the message. So I feel like there's kind of like some contradiction.
Yeah, that's a good
and there's I feel like there's truth in both ways, but yeah, I mean.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like there's truth in both ways. That's for sure. That's a good point. So yeah, you can analyze the same situation from different angles. Some part of it can be explained by saying that we are away from the belief. We gave rights to women, so that has to happen. That's one part. But the second part, I guess that's to me at least, the interesting part, because that is kind of like a speculative answer. Like saying that we are in such a situation because we are away from the truth, which makes sense, but you can say it personally, maybe. You can say that as a person, I know that I'm away from the truth, and my immediate family or my nation, whatever, we are away from the truth. Hence, I'm experiencing such difficulty, which makes sense as a self-critic. But otherwise, looking at the people of Gaza from outside and say that, oh yeah, they are living this situation because they are away from the truth, I don't think it makes sense. In that sense, it's speculative. So author now is, I guess, touching on another aspect. As you said, even Prophet and the Sahaba was experiencing some difficulties, right? That part of it, how can we explain? How should we understand? That's the topic of yeah, please.
I mean, like based on the text, what I understand from his explanation in a few words is that, I mean, we've touched on it before, but they seem to triumph because through destruction, through aggression and intimidation, and like, you know, being on the truth and being on guidance is, if you think, you can think about it as building something that is strong and that takes very long time and that is very tedious and important to be careful. And misguidance is very easy to just knock it down. And so sometimes maybe the people who are misguided, they get their strength or their arrogance or their bigness, I don't know how to call it, from just the fact that they can just threaten to destroy people and destroy people of guidance. That's what I understand. But then also it makes me ask, in that case, from what everybody is saying, do we then expect to ever like have any kind of success? Because then if we understand it this way and we understand that we're on the path of like a construction and real guidance, then we will never expect to be successful in this life, right? Or worldly pleasure, like worldly things. That's the question that I'm asking you.
Jazakallah, a very good point. MashaAllah. Anyone else? Please go ahead. Yeah. Get the microphone. Do you know how to turn it on? You have to press, yeah, yes.
Okay. For the first question, imagine that we are now in the golden era of the Islamic empires. Can we ask the same question?
Say it again, sorry.
If we are now in the golden era of the Islamic empire, maybe 600 or 700 years before, can we ask the same question? Why are the people of guidance are so successful and the people of misguidance aren't successful?
Okay,
The opposite.
I see. So
Yeah.
we have to unpack it a bit, because when you refer to
Yeah.
golden age, you're probably referring to, you know,
The first maybe
like a 13th century, etc. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, which is, yeah, usually considered as the golden age by historians. Most of them usually
which is the dark age.
materialist.
Yeah.
No. But what I mean is that this age is considered golden age, not because people were at the pinnacle of the belief, but they were pinnacle at the medicine, at the chemistry, you know, that science, this science, poetry. That was the reason it is usually considered golden age. So
Yeah.
we have to question first. We have to start questioning: is this the golden age of Islam, or is it the best example of westernization of Islamic society? So we have to unpack it a little bit.
Yeah. So right now we were talking about our grades in school, science, our contribution to the science right now, how are as the Muslim nation being invaded by other countries. So the same comparison we can make it in these ages. So I don't think it is related to religion when we have failures to say that because of our religion, because we can say the same in maybe 800 years before, that we were successful because of our religion. And now we are unsuccessful because of our religion.
Sure.
I don't think it is
I see.
Yeah.
No. That's not the point.
Yeah.
So again, to make things even clearer and simpler, let's look at the life of the Prophet. So I guess a reasonable person would say, if somebody comes with the truth, right, and the truth, you expect this person having a success in his life, and the people seeing this truth so brightly on him and following him so easily. And author says, but there were still some people who were not able to see this truth by looking at him. Why this is so? Is there a problem with the message, or this all part we're trying to understand? Or there is something more fundamental going on there? Rather than just blaming people, oh, they were stupid, they were so blind, they didn't see it. Rather than that, let's try to understand what kind of wisdom is in this, the reality.
Yeah. Why there's guided views and misguided views.
Yes, and why, if we call them as guided people,
Who guide?
yeah, it's why they are still failing if they are so guided. That's the part we're trying to understand. It's the point is not, oh, because it's because of the religion or not because of the religion. We're trying to understand why this is so. What is the wisdom in it?
Yeah.
Please.
$100. Yeah. So I think there might be confusion in regards to what's the emphasis of the text. I mean, the author is not saying that we fail because our religion commands us to be right, and as a result, we are doomed to fail, or failure is more likely for us. That's not the main point. The main point is, I think, is coming at the first paragraph. Like, we need to read the what came after in the light of the first paragraph. The first paragraph is so interesting that we need to unpack in the answer in the first paragraph, where he is mentioning that the all-glorious creator of the universe has two sort of names, those pertaining to his glory, to his jalal, and those pertaining to his beauty, that is his jamal. And he says the divine names, Asma'ul Husna, some of them are showing glory of the creator, some of them are showing the beauty of the creator. Since the names require to demonstrate their decrees through different manifestations, the glorious creator blended together opposites in the universe. Like, this part we really need to think. So I'm slowly reading. Sorry, I took it over.
No,
That's
please,
what my
please, go ahead.
intention. So, since the names require to demonstrate their decrees through different manifestations, the glorious creator blended together opposites in the universe. Bringing them face to face, he gave them aggressive and defensive positions in the form of a wise and beneficial contest. Making the opposites transgress one another's bounds, he brought conflict and change into being and made the universe subject to the law of change and transformation and the principles of progress and advancement. In humankind, the comprehensive fruit of the tree of creation, like humankind, which is the comprehensive fruit of the tree of creation, he gave the law of contest an even stranger form and opening door to striving, which would be the means to all human progress. He gave Satan's party certain faculties with which to challenge God's party. Says this is by design. And he's tying it all the way to the divine names. Like, the creator is intentionally giving this success, if you like, to the hand of the misguided people. And he's tying it all the way to how the opposites are being put together in this existence. When he says opposites, does this make sense? Maybe we can start from there.
Yeah. So our usual approach, the author follows the Quranic, the narration. Quran says, God does this, God does that. But of course, when we study, we will start from the bottom, not from the top. We will start from what we experience. Okay? So let's start from there, how we experience these opposites or contest and rivalry, etc. in creation. So from the fundamental, in the most fundamental levels, like even if you go subatomic particles, etc., you will always see opposites there acting together, right? One pushes, one, what's the opposite of? Pulls. One pushes, the other one pulls, okay? One comes with a certain field charged with certain, the properties. Other one comes with another field charged with opposite properties. Right? We see there. And through this opposition, we see things happen. Right? Without one pulling, the other one pushing, we don't. That's our reality. Right? We're not trying to say it has to be that way or whatever. This is our reality. Through this opposition, opposites of things being their each other's opposite, we see things happen. Right? If you have only one side, nothing happens. That's how creation is at the most fundamental level. As you go upper and upper, we see the same thing. We see something is destroyed, and then something else being giving rise out of this destruction. Right? You eat something, you destroy it, like you destroy an apple, right? When you eat. And it becomes part of the body. There is this rivalry in that sense between your body and the apple, but it results in something better for both parties. So people of misguidance, for instance, would look at the first part, the opposition, rivalry, and say that this is the reality. We have to, be strongest to survive. But in reality, if you look closer with a cleaner lens, you will see that out of this seeming apparent rivalry, the opposition, comes something better. Right? You put a seed on the ground, you destroy the seed. The seed is destroyed. How seed flourish, becomes a plant, the seed needs to be rotten. Cracks, and then plant comes. Right? So wherever you look, you will always see this, the opposite things acting together, one pushing, one pulling. And forget about the humans first. Right? Let's look at the everything else. It's easier to understand usually. Once you realize that, you see something similar, a similar pattern in relationship with human beings as well. Right? Some people bring destruction. Some people bring construction. But only together you see the wisdom, what's going on there. So if a human being left alone, you don't see any progress. But if you introduce some stress, some cognitive load, right? Some expectations, which is pushing or pulling, then you start seeing development, right? Progress. If you let the children, for instance, just play and nothing else, they will not develop into, right, the reasonable, successful beings. They will always stay as dependent to their parents or other people. But once you introduce some distraction, quote unquote, right, and ask them to, what is it? Ev işleri. Chores, something like that, yeah. Chores, yes. Ask them to do chores, right? They will start developing dignity, a better personality. So you see there everywhere. In psychological creation, in sociological creation, if there are some, again, from the apparent, the view, if there are some challenges in the geography of a nation, you see that this nation becomes better in, let's say, inventing certain technologies, right? So we see this, the conflict resulting in something better, having a wisdom everywhere. Living organisms, non-living organisms, if there are such things. Human beings, the galaxies, right? You see the same thing again and again. Author starts from there. And saying that it seems within this conflict, there's a wisdom. It's a path for progress. This is how things are set up. Again, we're talking about what exists. Like we try to understand our reality, not talking about some hypothetical, the creations, etc. This is our reality. And with these setup, we have tools. We say that I have tools for progress. Become better person, for instance. If you want to improve we don't have such people anymore. If you want to, get better muscles.
He is online. Kadir.
Oh, he's online. MashaAllah. If you want to get, sorry. Okay, that's great. So you will be our muscle person then, going forward. If you want to build your muscle, what you do, you introduce some distraction. Quote unquote. Right? You introduce some conflict there. Make them suffer, and they become better. So in that regard, we see this wisdom. But of course, you can take the same system and exploit it and use it for, the bad reasons as well. Like you can destroy something just for the sake of destruction as well. The author says there is such a freedom as well in the creation. We see that. So some people introduce destruction, for instance, for the sake of destruction. You don't see any improvement there. And you can see as a human being saying, like you can say that, yeah, this is not a wise thing to do. But in other situations, you can see the wisdom. Please go ahead.
And author tied this all the way to manifestation of divine names. Like, let's take it on a simple case of a movie. You go to a movie and everything is predictably going nice. Like it's going to be a boring movie. That's why movies have those arcs, unexpected turns, things go well, then everything is upside down, and then it goes there and then goes up. Like this is the fun movie that we see, because then we say, oh, this is skillful, what's it called, director, so well-written script and whatnot. Because now we see more of skills being manifest in there. And this is what's going on in the existence as well. Like there is darkness and light, hence degrees of light. Like without the opposite, the darkness, light is just one. But the moment you have darkness comes into the picture, then you start observing shades of colors and everything. So manifestations, this is how we get to know the creator. So, and the purpose of our existence is to get to know the creator. This is why by design, actually, it's a perfect creation that opposites are mixed in here, that we get to know our creator by observing all these different shades of heat, color, love, hate, like all of these are making us get to know him. So this actually is fulfilling the perfect purpose of creation itself. So this is where now author is tying all this back to the actual purpose of this existence. Please.
Could you also remind your name if you don't mind? I apologize.
Tala.
Tala.
I just had a quick question. I do understand the point of having a system of misguidance and guidance, and then the misguidance is meant to challenge people of truth so they could grow in their deen and all of that. But then does that mean that there should be this category of people that are always in darkness in order for people of truth, like to be guided, kind of? Yeah. I don't know how to phrase the question, but like there should always be like these misguided people in order for us, not for us, like for people of truth to increase in their deen, kind of.
Fantastic. Great question. Jazakallah. So that also reminded me that we should switch our focus from people to the ideas, maybe. So what I mean with that. So for you become a proper thinker, for instance, let's say a philosopher, right? In your mind, you have to constantly fight with certain mistruth, like wrong claims, right? If you're trying to understand something, what is the truth of it, you have to fight with misguided claims in your mind. There has to be such misguided claims. There has to be such, wrongful explanations that you will deny to better understand what is right. This is how people learn. So in that sense, I can say, for you to understand the truth, there must be some wrong answers out there, and you have to deny them one by one so that you reach the true answer. This is how you learn. So when I say there must be wrong answers out there, so what I mean, whether sometimes it is manifested in the sayings of people, some people will tell you something wrong. Sometimes it will be written in a book. Sometimes it just pops up in your mind. But there will be such wrong answers in one form or another for you to better understand the matter. When you study something, for instance, your professor will give you some wrong answers so that you say that no, these are wrong and this one is right. That's the what is the point behind that? You better understand, grasp the truth from every angle, right? So there has to be wrong answers in front of you. In the same way, when I say to be guided, this is what I see in the creation, right? The opposites always conflicting. To be guided, I must face misguidance. It doesn't mean that some people needs to be appointed as the misguided people in one form or another. It could be just pop up in my mind, some misguided claims, and then I can follow them for a certain the period of my life. And the same answer applies there. The author says there is a wisdom in it, that these misguided claims pops up in your mind and you tend to follow them. There is a wisdom. Unless you see that they are wrong and fight them, you cannot get the right answer. So that's the answer. The otherwise answer is not that, oh yeah, the Western Hemisphere has to be misguided so that the Eastern Hemisphere will be guided. Just apply it to yourself. You can ask the same question in this way. In my life, I'm trying to be a pious believer, but I keep seeing these ugly, the alternatives, and they are easy to follow. And I find myself most of the time fail and follow them. I listen to my nafs, sometimes we say, and I fail. I know that I shouldn't eat this, the second half of the baklava, but I did, right? This type of thing. Apply it to the belief matters as well. You do it more all the time. You hear these whispers of Satan all the time, and they are easy to follow. Most of the time, your believer part is defeated by the misguidance, right? In yourself, just one person. Why is it so, you ask? The author says the same, says, out of this conflict that you experience, there is a path for progression for you. It doesn't mean you can freely follow the misguidance, but you have to see it, you have to face it, you have to fight, sometimes defeat it, and taste the defeat as well. What does it mean being defeated? Like in material sense, sometimes it's a source of pleasure. I'm defeated by, my, let's say, desires to consume alcohol. May Allah forgive, right? And prevent. I failed, I defeated. It's so easy to see that, the consuming alcohol is one of the most stupid things a human being can do. From any perspective you want, right? It's so easy to see. And especially if you're a believer, you know that it is haram. There shouldn't be any way that you even approach it. But it's not true. You know that in practice, some of us fail and drink alcohol. And what happens? You taste this failure. Apparently, it gives you some joy, but the next moment, you are depressed. You need to feel this depression, they experience this depression, so that, for you maybe, right? So that you see the darkness. And the next moment, you will be so against it. If you, again, on the right path. Go ahead, please. No, please.
I just want to add on that, I hope I'm not going off track, but I get experiencing darkness, and you generally you feel let's say you feel guilty for doing such a sin, these type of sin. But I can understand how people can get addicted to something. So now you're constantly relapsing, you're constantly asking for forgiveness, and you sometimes it feels like it's working, and then you relapse again. So I don't know, then you start to lose hope. And I know you're not supposed to, you're supposed to generally I know let's say everybody knows you have to keep on trying, but then when does it stop? What if you die in that state? What if you, I don't know, and then you have the intention of getting better, you try, you said I want to get better now, but you end up I don't know how to phrase the question, but I don't know. It's just I have I just want to ask about relapsing and stuff. I see people get addicted to things even though they were so against it before. So that's all I have.
Anyone else want to add on that? Yusuf, would you like it? Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, that was a very good question, very good answer. So I might be repeating some points. I would like to keep it short, but as a summary, as I understand from Brother Birkan's answer is, I do need to fail so that I understand something. And as Quran is summarizing this in a story of humans' creation, like Adam alayhi salam was suggested to eat from the tree, and he fell for it. And then this is the story of human being. Sahaba come and ask the Prophet saying that, well, when we are with you, we are just being like different. But once we step out of the masjid, we start worrying about the life again and we are becoming like normal people. Rasulullah says, if you were not to be doing mistakes, then Allah would just erase you and create creatures which would make mistakes. Like this is how human is meant to be, making mistakes, because we are supposed to expected to learn with these mistakes. This is why author is saying that just look at what you are. This is the setup that we are in. Like we are created with those opposites in. He started from creation and he applied it to us as individuals. And likewise, as Brother Birkan was saying, assuming that I am a guided person, if you ask me, am I 100% guided? Definitely not. Maybe I am more misguided than I am guided. Like if you think about it, certain aspects of my life is in guidance, but many other aspects of my life is unguided. Now apply to the population. Even the most misguided person you see out there would have some aspect of guidance in their life as well. So it's not really these guys are misguided, these guys are guided. Like if Muslim, guided. Non-Muslim, you're misguided. It's not that clear either. Like as a Muslim, I have many non-Muslim qualities, and a non-Muslim would have many Muslim qualities, although the titles are different. So guidance versus misguidance is how we are getting to know our Creator. So this is our reality. Now, in the light of this then, so this distinction was beautiful, alhamdulillah. In the light of this, why is this happening is the question. Like, okay, we understood the Creator is manifesting two different types of names. And as such, this is really the result and the purpose of human creation. This is the important point. Because the part that we are maybe sometimes overlooking is we have an idea about what is my purpose of my existence. And as if author is saying that there's a different purpose of existence. The Creator has a purpose, and you think you have also there's a purpose. For us, the purpose sounds like being successful. Successful in the sense of, I don't know, material success and whatnot. Is this really the success, or the success is something else? What does the Creator intend as success? Like in between the lines, this is what I am reading. Because like under this text, there's a question, and it's a like there's a hadith which says al-haqq ya'lu wa la yu'la alayh. Like the truth is high and nobody can overcome it. And then they say, how is that? Truth has been overcome many of the times. This is where the question is coming from. Scholars had struggled to answer that question, like Rasulullah says as such, but in practice, this is not what it ends up being. So this way of framing, now the author is saying that truth and falsehood will always fight by design of the existence. This is the point. And the progress of your iman is the gain that's out there. We can talk more about this, but I'll pause here.
Yeah. Okay. So the word addiction may mean many things for sure. But if we talk about just relapse part, Yusuf, I will steal your example if you don't mind, but I will refer to you anyway, so it's not stealing. So Yusuf always gives this example. He says there's a certain type of people, you know, I interact with, and when I interact with them, there's always a trouble. And I keep seeing this type of people in my life. And then he says, there must be something that I couldn't learn. And my Creator keep showing this type of personality in my life so that maybe this time I can learn whatever I'm supposed to learn. So I guess this happens to us all the time. There are certain messages that we are supposed to get out of our experiences. And we keep failing, reading the experience in the right way and get the message out of it. you will think, for instance, like my case, you will think your promotion in your job is given or decided by powerful people in your department, right? You will believe in that, and the merciful creator will say, no, everything is decided by me, and I will show you by, giving all the support of these powerful people, and then not give you the promotion, right? You will look at the experience, you will go through this experience, you will say, but I got the support from all these department chair, from, the whatever, they were all supporting me, still I didn't get the promotion. Instead of understanding the message, you will say, oh, I failed to get the support of that people. The next time you will get support of that people as well, you will not get the promotion still. You're supposed to get the message out of it, right? And you say, no, I will not get the message. Oh, maybe I should use another strategy this time. Maybe I should polish my CV in this way and that way, and this time it will happen. So it will keep relapsing, right? Same experience or similar experience will be given to you again and again up until you get the message out of it. So this is just one example. You can, use the same logic to different examples. If you've been through similar experiences again and again, maybe out of this conflict, still there is no progress for you. Maybe you are making the wrong choices, not in the sense like a material sense, but understand the message out of it. Because everything in this life, everything in this creation is a messenger, comes with a message. Like we've been saying this every time. But when we say, for instance, the rain is the mercy of the creator, like there's such sayings, I don't know, it's so common in Turkish. When people look at the rain, they call it as the mercy in the daily language, even, right? I assume it will be similar in other languages as well. So it's not just the play of words. The people who started this tradition, they understood the action of rain is just a symbol. It's like just an example presented in front of our eyes so that we understand that whoever sent down the rain must be a merciful one. They understood this reality, the message, and start calling rain as the mercy. Everything in your life is a message. You have to ask what it means. Instead, what we do, I have a fight with my daughter, let's say, right? How I read it, this experience, there's a conflict, so that there will be a progress. But what I choose instead, I say we fought because she was misbehaving. What message I got from this experience? Nothing. My child is a misbehaving child. Next time I will punish her and continue living. Did I get anything out of it that I can use, rely on? Nothing. Or I will say, oh, I mistreated her. I should have used such and such strategy instead. Maybe I will succeed, but the next time I will have the same fight. Why? Because I didn't get the message yet. The message was, for instance, it could be, and it will change, of course, that I claim that I own this child and she has to do everything I want because I own her. And my creator says, no, she belongs to me. Just like your fingers, just like your tongue belongs to me. Everything about her belongs to me. You don't have any authority over her. and she doesn't have to follow your orders. Now she's trying to teach me that message, and I refuse to understand this. Hence, if, like, this is what I expect from a merciful, wise creator to show me same experience and then again and again, up until I learn. So we can, understand some, the examples with relapse in that regard, for instance. Some of them.
Very quick. As you were mentioning messenger, today we were having this conversation at Drexel. So I was asking the students, has anyone of you ever killed a messenger? I said, no. Like, it is the Bani Israel who killed the messengers. And I said, have you ever seen any messenger in your life? They said, no, the last prophet was Muhammad ﷺ, and he passed away 14 centuries ago. So, but as you were saying, she brings you a message by being nasty. So she's a messenger in this regard. And we are shooting or killing the messenger by, as you mentioned, just taking her on the face value as the person herself, not a messenger of the creator. So yes, what Quran mentions as Bani Israel is what I am doing in this regard.
Everything comes with a message. Everything is a messenger for you. But when you say that, no, you're not bringing any message. You're just a material being just like myself. You are an apple. I just eat you. That's the only thing you mean. When I say that, I killed the messenger aspect of this apple. Killed it. Otherwise, the apple was carrying a message to me. It was telling me, shouting, whoever created me knows your needs and created me in a way to satisfy your needs. Your creator is the most merciful, most wise one. Look at me, the apple says. Instead of listening to apple, I killed it. And then I said, no, it's just a food and I will eat it. Nothing I gain from this, the opposition. Opposition in the sense, I destroyed the apple, right? I digested it. Nothing happened. Just a feces. Otherwise, it will be a progression for me, a progress for me. Please go ahead.
So then in this regard, since now the author established it, and then he mentioned this, opposites are fighting with each other. And for this to happen, the creator gave some tools to the hand of misguidance, path of misguidance, so that they would put all these challenges. So it will then happen that he used a word in here which was interesting. So it is because of the subtle mystery that the prophets were often defeated by the people of misguidance, often. And the people of misguidance, who are extremely weak and impotent, temporarily triumph over the people of truth. What is this temporarily triumph? This is the part. Is it really temporary? Because if you think about it, Musa alayhi salam was not, in the worldly sense, was never triumph. Zakaria alayhi salam, he was murdered. Yahya alayhi salam, he was murdered. Like, it looks like it's not a temporary failure. It's like a permanent failure that they have. And whomever murdered them probably died as victors. Like, they said, okay, consider the case of Zakaria alayhi salam. Like, he was seeing the other clergy at the temple as ruining the religion. So he was fighting against them. So, and then they murdered Zakaria. Problem solved. And then Judaism happened to be Judaism as it has been. So they won. Even looking at today, the clergy of the temple won. Zakaria alayhi salam did not. What does it mean that they are temporarily having a triumph over the people of truth? Okay, in the case of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, we can then argue that, yes, initially they lost in like Uhud and a few other wars, but eventually they conquered Mecca. So eventually they won. Many other prophets, this was not the case. So what does author say by saying it's a temporary triumph?
No, means like to my understanding, when you mean temporary triumph in the constant context of non-believers, like they're just winning for now. Like Prophet ﷺ always mentioned that paradise is our actual triumph. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple scales, right, to any question. One scale is this world versus the hereafter. I mean, historically speaking, you also see the people of misguidance always tend to be destroyed themselves as well. But at the maybe lowest scale in our lives, we see that when with like my misguidance aspect triumph over the guidance aspect, I do things that I'm not supposed to do. I, indulge my ego. So what happens next moment? I feel the anxiety of it. Right? I say, okay, I will become this most successful person in my workplace. I work hard for it. And this working hard translate as anxiety, because now I have to work even harder next moment, and even harder and even harder. If I trick myself that this is the life, this is the reality of life, you have to work hard and you have to be most successful person, they earn the highest salary, and that will bring you happiness. If I trick myself for a moment, it becomes victorious because I really get the salary. I start enjoying things that I cannot enjoy before. I upgrade my car instead of trying to fix it. So it got the victory, but again the next moment, while I'm driving the new car, I have to face now more challenges. But there are better cars, right? Why not them as well? Why not even earn more money? I mean, in today's society, it seems like there is no limit one person can earn. These billionaires, every year, they say, they increase their worth twofold, threefold. COVID happens, everybody get miserable, everybody lose money, certain people earn even more money. So it seems like there is no limit. In near future, probably they will, they own planets. This guy will say, okay, the Mars belongs to me. I can do whatever I want. There's no limit. And you're driving your car and the moon is there. Why not moon? Right? It introduces a lot of anxiety. Like this is the core of many mental health problems. Within the moment, like temporarily it is victorious, but the next moment you are doomed if you follow the misguidance that you have to achieve things. There's a misguidance. It comes with some immediate pleasure and then more pain. We have people have some doubts about that, the pain part. I can see from the faces. No, I like to earn more and more money, of course. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'll also add on to that, on top of the anxiety, maybe misguidance can can generate is also, especially if you have gotten a triumph over someone who is of truth, you know that deep down it's not from merit. So there can also be like a fear of being exposed. And I think also like this may happen a lot if you just think about why is Islam in general so targeted? Like, why are Muslims targeted? I lived in France, for example, and there's so much effort to try to eliminate any sign of Islam in schools with little children and stuff who don't really even pose a threat to anybody, for example. But I think sometimes it's like the weight of the truth can be very scary for people who know that they are not on the truth. And I do feel sometimes like they would rather destroy something before it exposes. I think since you mentioned the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, we can think about Fir'aun in the beginning, how he decided to kill all of the sons because he was afraid of what? Of being overthrown, right? So there was like, I think sometimes like this temporary triumph is really just, it doesn't exist. It's a cycle of just trying to like shut down truth because you're afraid that it will expose you.
I guess I had a question about seeking success then, because I find myself wanting to succeed in things. And like, even as a child, there's a certain feeling, like a good feeling given when you succeed at something. And that's within the material sense for a child. And so I guess for me, it's thinking that I do want to succeed in things, but I guess to do so, I need to do it with my creators' names rather than thinking that this is something I have to achieve for the sake of itself. Because like on the flip side, if I'm not trying to achieve something, it feels a bit depressing to me as well. Like I can't just sit still and say, I believe, like pray 5 times a day and then not leave my house at all. Like that also doesn't seem like a like a beneficial outcome for me. And I feel like it kind of goes against this concept of striving. Like we do still have to strive for things, but it's, I guess, maybe the attitude or the perception of what it is we are actually striving for within the material sense. So I guess, could it be said that we do still need success in the material world to even think about like true success, like as a way of building iman, to have like both, I guess that type of, I guess it's depends on how you define success as well.
The word success is a tricky one. Yes. Same way, the progress even is a tricky one. But I guess we all agree that this is human fitra nature, right? And so a few weeks ago, we mentioned that even if you try to waste something, you cannot. Because in the creation, it is always used for something. You try to waste an apple, but just leave it there so that it will get rotten. Some small creatures will come and eat it. It will not be wasted. So the same way, the creation, the order we see in the creation is such that even if you try not to progress, there will always a conflict in your life, right? That will force you to take the path of progress. You can still choose not to. You can get the wrong message, etc. But these experiences always be there. This is how life is really. Try to have a steady life. There will be always a challenge in front of you. And you cannot escape from that. In Quranic language, it says, do you think God will leave you alone? Right? This is how we experience it. He will always forcefully, out of the mercy, will introduce a new challenge in front of you towards getting him closer, though. Sometimes we will take these challenges to become stronger. That's what we say. Even like when I heard this, at least consciously understand this claim for the first time, I was very surprised. Talking about fasting. Talking about the fasting, the people were saying, oh, we fast so that we become stronger, more robust to, the hunger, etc. It's just the opposite of the idea of fasting. The idea of fasting is understanding your weakness, understanding of your reliance, right? But sometimes, again, we take the wrong message. We say, I get stronger, etc. Anyway, beside that, we will always have these challenges out of mercy. We will not be left alone. So there's no such life anyway. Either you are a believer or not, doesn't matter. You cannot have a life in which there will be no opportunities for progress. You won't be left alone.
Like to cook chickpeas, nice.
Yes. There was a complaint about your chickens. No.
But I think that's a relevant and very live question, because we were trying to do some programming with PenMSA, and a brother suggested to give a talk about particles. Like he's a physicist, like he's a PhD in physics, and he worked in CERN. So he wanted to make a presentation about what was the title? From particles and stars talk, or when the particles and the stars talk. So he was trying to make a talk like this. Brothers in Penn said that we would like to hear more relevant talks. And by relevant, what they suggested was, how can we practice religion in our career? Like something in between. And I said, okay, good. But what sort of an answer are you after? Because this is a question. They said, in the workplace, how can we represent Islam better? There's one way to take it. Another way to take it is, because it's a relevant question as you were asking, I'm going to practice this job because, like, look at this guy. He's created to play basketball, right? Like, look at the height. And he's going to do this job, but he can do this job for either being successful in the job itself, or is there a way that the opposites are created in his life as well? And now it is taking place in case of this game or whatever is happening around this game. So how is he going to take it as such? So how I look at success changes. If I start looking at success in the religious setup as, oh, I'm going to become a basketball player and represent Islam in there. This is, now I am reframing.
Best basketball player.
Best basketball player, and I'm going to be Muslim. Like, if I take it as such, it's slightly different than being a successful basketball player. You just put Muslim as another identifier before it. But in regards to what we have been discussing, it shouldn't mean that you're not going to try to play a good basketball. But the point is, what am I taking out of this? Where is the progress, as we have been talking about progress here? Do I know my creator better? In what sense? Because it looks like you're cut for it. But how am I going to do it in this regard, in this setup? This should be the question that I'm going through. And it's apparently a very relevant one, because Penn didn't like the topic about particles.
Okay, so the last part of the text, we didn't read it. I thought we would have time, but so let me quickly read the question. It is very relevant to where we are right now. The noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, was the beloved of sustainer of all the worlds, and he held truth in his hand and spoke the truth with his tongue. And among the soldiers of his army were angels, and he watered a whole army with one handful of water, and provided a feast for 1,000 men with 4 handfuls of wheat and the meat of one kind, and caused the unbelievers' army to flee by throwing a handful of dust at them, which entered all their eyes. So how was that dominical commander, who performed 1,000 miracles similar to these, was defeated at the end of Uhud and at the beginning of Hunayn? So such a messenger has the truth, support of the creator who controls everything. He can even, manifest this or show these miracles from time to time, but still was defeated in 2 fights, just as an example. Why this is so? And then author says the prophet is an example in our lives, and the best and real example. As a human beings, we've been through all these different experiences, sometimes fail, sometimes succeed. And I need to know, how should I act when I fail? How should I act when I succeed? And as being the best example, he shows us what to do when you fail, what to do when you succeed. Otherwise, author says, he wouldn't be the best teacher, best example for us. He is a human being just like us. He lives a human life just like us, because he is a teacher of a human being, for a human being, me, right? I need to know how to treat my children, for instance. If none of the prophets had any children, how would I know how to treat my children? That's the idea. And he says the miracles were there for only certain purposes, only when needed, etc. There's also another discussion around that. It also shows that the miracles, they don't belong to him. So he does not make miracles. He only showed them when needed, when given, right? You shouldn't take him as the source of the miracles as well. So he didn't, for instance, make the water more. He asked for more water, and creator gave him more water, despite physical constraints in people's mind. Right? That's how you should read, author says. Very quick summary, I apologize for the sake of time. But we can conclude with some beautiful questions or comments from people like Atik, mashallah. I said beautiful, and he showed his beautiful face.
So I think we had a very productive discussion, but I think maybe the most important question remains unanswered. And that is, this idea that it's necessary for the human being to undergo or experience challenges for their own, development of character or spirituality. Does this explain from your experience why many Muslim students have trouble maintaining their grades?
Oh. Yes, that's a good point. I better understand now. We can talk, in private. But does it explain why? It does, because, partially, but not entirely, but partially, the question itself was a misformed question, because I was asking it from a materialist perspective. I wanted success in classroom. And when it was not given, I was complaining. That was part of it. Another part of it, the way system is established, when you are trying to build something, that's what he said at the end of what the text that we read, said the path of the prophet is the path that you struggle to build something and then try to contain it and try to protect it. This is the path. And it's the hard path, right? The alternative is the destruction, which is the easy. So the system that we live in is built upon destruction. And it's an easy thing. And for a believer to succeed in that, you have to give away many things that you hold on. So that's another aspect. Like to become successful, for instance, researcher. I mean, that's a reality. You can be best in your thing because you respect your job, you do it best, and you will get your outcome. That's for sure. But at the same time, titles, not the real outcomes, but the titles come with not serious work. Most of the titles comes with distraction. You have to obey certain rules that goes against reality. You have to say that, oh yeah, you have power, and I, under your control. And then when you have this title, you become acting the same way. You say, I have the power, right? So in that sense, it makes sense a true believer not receiving many titles. That's another part of it, again, not the only part. But yeah, I don't know if it satisfies your question. Any other beautiful questions, comments, objections? Oh, come on. Yeah. Comments? Okay.
Like, I just want to add on to what I think Atik said.
Yeah.
So like when I was talking about grades earlier as well, I also meant in a materialistic sense, like just personally experiencing, because I'm in interior design. Everything's like subjective, like everything's like, opinion based, and it also depends on your instructor. Like you're talking about power and stuff. Some instructors assume they have like all the power and everything. They just choose on based on what they like, when necessarily it's not their opinion that matters. And like, this is not really related to discussion. I just want to say, like, I've experienced it like some sort of like racism as well. Because of that, my grades have gone down. So I wouldn't say, I don't know where I'm going with this, honestly. But I felt like, it's important to share. Like, I don't know. Actually, never mind. Bye.
Please, yeah.
So then in this regard, maybe an extreme example, but in the battlefield, let's assume a believer is now being murdered by an unbeliever. So who is winning? Who is having the triumph? The unbeliever is killing, but the believer is being killed. So which is a failure, apparently. but now the believer is being considered as shaheed in the eye of the Quran. So what does this mean? What does the believer witness in this point? So much so that that person would say it's worth it. And he's not even dying. He's given an eternal life. What does this mean? So to think about this on the light of, I'm going to give an example from Quran. When Yunus alayhi salam was thrown into the sea, swallowed by the fish, at the belly of the fish, he makes this dhikr, the remembrance, saying that I wronged myself. You are free from any defect. So there's no other deity than you. This is the realization he has. And the verse says, then we saved him. Like this realization is the success. Even if you're at the belly of the fish under the sea, the moment, and it happens in our lives, you are at the bottom of the hardship and whatnot. But if this light comes, the light of Iman comes, you start loving your sickness, you start loving your hardship. You say that, Alhamdulillah, it's worth it. Like the moment that I'm living right now, as much as I can realize, see my creator at this moment, I say, I'm perfectly fine. And this is the real success. From the people that looks from outside, the guy got drowned. Like fish ate him, he's under the sea and whatnot. But this, in the eye of Quran, and you can experience it as well, this is the success. So believer being murdered is then being the success because that person witnesses that the giver of life is my creator. The unbeliever kills a believer and then thinks that he is successful. This feeling itself is the failure. So in this regard, based on the purpose of existence, the description of success is getting upside down. So in this regard, success always stays on the path of truth. On the surface, in terms of perception, then people will think that, no, these believers are more successful, believers are unsuccessful and whatnot. This is because there's a lens problem. And in this text, author was correcting our lens in this regard, saying that success will always be with the believers and the side of the belief. Because this is how system was designed, so that even in what is perceived to be failure, it is producing success.
A country has a nuclear power. What does it mean? Mass destruction, nothing more. Right? Nuclear weapon means killing innocent children. It doesn't have any other meaning. Killing innocent children by intention. That's what a nuclear weapon means. People like a country who have, or let's not talk about the country, but the mentality. The people who thinks having a nuclear power makes you stronger. From one perspective, it seems like right. You have the most powerful weapon in history. But from another perspective, the real truth perspective, you become nothing but a monster. So dying in that sense, because you don't have nuclear bomb, is the success. Becoming a monster is the failure. And out of this conflict, the choice you make, such a strong choice. Am I going to have such a bomb or not? Am I ignite mine or not? When you are given such a choice, the magnitude of success is also so high. And the failure is so high. Killing one innocent person is like killing the entire humanity, right? Killing half of the population of the earth. You can imagine what kind of monster you become. So success, as Yusuf said, is always for people of guidance. If you make the right choice, though. But what we hear nowadays, Muslim people, Muslim countries, they say we should also have nuclear bombs. right? Because there is this conflict, opposition, like a rivalry. We have to answer them same power. I just think about it. Yeah, Pakistani, right? Not Lebanese. So anyway, right? I guess that's an extreme example. Again, you can see it easier there. جزاكم خيرا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.